Hello, everyone. Um, Welcome back. So, come to our second section of the events. We are honored to have Chris, our university librarian, return to the stage. This time he will dive into how prompt engineering can significantly enhance the accuracy and the quality of AI tool outputs. Chris, please.
Thanks, Wallace, and thanks everyone for still being here. I was worried that after consensus, everyone would have rushed off to just try consensus. Although I have noticed, as folks have noticed in the chat, that consensus, as Eric said, being a startup, being a very new product, it seems to be down at the moment. I don't know if that's because 150 people tried to log in at the same time, but hopefully it gets back up and running soon. And before I get into the prompt engineering part, I wanted to actually introduce something as a result of the consensus demo, because one of my colleagues reminded me that linking to full text can sometimes be a bit tricky from consensus. So Eric showed you, you can click on the full text button, and if it's open access, it will just open up the PDF right there. But if something is not open access and you want to see if the library has access to it, there is actually a tool that's really good for that. Because if you just click on that link that consensus provides, it may just say, oh, you know, this is a subscription article and not let you in, even if the library has access to it. So I want to kind of take the chance here to introduce a very, very useful tool that we've had for a little while now, but it's still kind of a hidden secret of the library. It's a tool called libkey Nomad. So this is a browser extension, and it's available for all the major browsers, Chrome, Safari, Firefox, etc. And when you first install it, and I'll provide the link in a second, when you first install the extension, you just tell it, the only setup you need to do is to tell it which university you're from, it's HKBU, and then it will be set. And then wherever you go on the web, if it can find a citation, if it can find a DOI, it will just automatically check against the library's holdings to see if we have the PDF. So hopefully to demonstrate that quickly, just a Wikipedia article. So hopefully this works. I was just preparing it during the break, but hopefully it will have a look. I should have known it wouldn't work. Let me see if I can do it in my other browser. Hang on. Where I do also have libkey Nomad installed. Yeah, that's a little bit better. I'm switching to my other browser. Hang on, bear with me. Switch. There we go. So it's the same article, same Wikipedia article, but you can see it's libkey Nomad is actually searching through the citations at the end of because well, Wikipedia articles have to have good references in them, and if the library has the ebook, if it has the article, it will give you a link. If we have direct access to the PDF, this button will appear. So and it will work with consensus as well, because if it sends you to the publisher page, libkey Nomad will check to see if we have access to the full text. So it's a really, really useful tool for quickly linking to full text content in the library's collection. So that is just a brief detour into libkey Nomad. Let me get back to prompt engineering, which is the topic of my talk today. Apologies, I have about 1,001 windows open, and I'm searching for the correct one, which I may have closed. So bear with me again. Oh gosh, hang on. This teaches you, don't do unplanned demos. It never goes well. Okay, here we go. And present. Undo the full screen. And now we can start properly. prompt engineering. So in a nutshell, enhancing the quality and accuracy of AI-generated output. I think Eric kind of touched upon some important points on how they thought about when they were building the consensus product. The need for guardrails, the need to understand how this information is being created, accuracy, especially when it comes to academic research. He made the comparison between the consensus product and a regular multi-purpose chatbot like ChatGPT. Of course, we can use ChatGPT as well, but we can think carefully about how we prompt the AI tool in order to get good, accurate, high-quality output. Now, as I said in my introduction, I think librarians have a great role to play here. Now, I'm not claiming any special expertise, perhaps yet. Again, we are still learning as well, but it really is in the DNA of the library profession to think about how information is created, what sources, what is the provenance of that information, how it is then synthesized and presented to users. And also, we have a very, very long history of teaching students and other users of information how to get the most out of tools. So I think prompt engineering is a big sort of future for librarians. I'm not the only librarian to think so. In my brief session, I will talk about some work that's being done in the United States by librarians to think around this area. But first of all, very simply again, oh, by the way, I will pop the Mentimeter link in again. If you came in a bit late, you can join the presentation and I will have some polls and things for you to get a bit more interactive. But what is a prompt? I mean, at its most simple, it is how you interact with the AI model in order to get information. And as Eric was demonstrating with consensus, and I'm sure most of you have tried out by now with ChatGPT, it's natural language input. So this is the big difference between generative AI and sort of historical search tools, is that you don't need to learn a special syntax or language to tell the computer what to do. It can be in natural language. And it can range from simple questions. I liked Eric's example, well, which you shouldn't use in consensus, of like, what's the weather like in Paris today? Well, I think the latest version of ChatGPT could answer that. It could actually call the live internet, but it can be simple questions like that, all the way to very complex multi-part instructions that reference data. It can get very complicated indeed. And again, I do feel librarians are perfectly placed to support this. This is something we've been doing for decades with traditional information search tools. Previously we helped we helped our community with prompting search engines and databases, and now I think we're going to be doing the same for generative AI tools. But I feel like I need to do more convincing, right? Because do you really need help with prompts? Because I've just said that it's a natural language query. So you all speak a language, and ChatGPT understands practically every language that there is, or at least every language that has some digital content. So if a prompt is nothing more than speaking to the AI model, then what do you actually need to learn? Now, so it's true that no special syntax is required. One question I forgot to ask Eric was whether consensus supported Boolean operators, and or not, which is what we used to spend a lot of time teaching in libraries, say 15 years ago. But just as with Google or Scopus or ProQuest, all of these other databases, I always get a phone call when I'm doing these. I just hung up on the provost's office. That's probably not going to go well for me. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, training can help you get better results. Oh, pardon me. Not for me. That's good. Training instruction can help understand the basics of how generative AI works and also its limitations. And in particular, when we talk from an academic research perspective, the possibility of hallucination is a problem. Also bias. So thinking carefully about how we can structure or otherwise optimize our prompts to get the best results is something we need to think about. We can't just go in and use these models willy-nilly. There needs to be some thought process involved. So here's the first question, because I'm going to try and illustrate this with some images that I've created. So I'd like to ask, have you all used any sort of text-to-image AI tool like Midjourney, Dolly, Stable Diffusion, etc.? This is also a test to see how many people are paying attention or how many people are trying to get into consensus to test it. Quite a surprisingly high number of people have not actually had a go with that. In that case, I actually have it open. This is one reason I have too many windows open. I forget to close them. Let me, since wow, almost 30 people have never used an image generated before, I can do a very, very brief sharing here. I use Midjourney, which runs in Discord. I won't go into the technicalities of it, but I will say Midjourney is very addictive. I probably spend too much time using it. So you prompt it, again, using natural language. You can see here, I've been experimenting with the Hong Kong skyline. So I'll say Hong Kong skyline in the style of, let's say, Van Gogh. And it's really amazing because, in less than a minute, what the AI model will do is take my natural language prompt and begin constructing an image. And the way Midjourney works is, and this is just a simple example, it will give you a choice of 4. And while that one's processing, maybe I'll just show you an earlier one. So here I said Hong Kong skyline in the style of the painting The Great Wave off Kanagawa, which is a very well-known 19th century Japanese. Don't quote me on that. I could look it up. But if I blow it up there, you can see it gives me 4. And these are, original AI creations, which is really interesting and really fascinating. It's taking longer than usual. So I'll skip back to my presentation. The reason I bring that up is even in Midjourney and similar tools, you have to think about your prompt. And I want to use it to illustrate an example of how bias manifests itself in these tools and how fine-tuning your prompt can overcome these limitations. So here on my next slide, here's one I created with Midjourney. That's the prompt I use because as librarians, we do a lot of instruction. Wallace and other librarians, we're always doing classes with students, and we like to have images to illustrate our slides. So I think, we really want to emphasize to students that we are here to help you with your research, and we might want an image to kind of illustrate that point when we make it in a class. So my prompt was a librarian helping 3 university students with research. Now I want to ask you, but feel free to put it in the chat. What's wrong with these images? All 4 of them. As an instruction librarian, I don't like them. Why do you think I do not like them? Answers in the chat, please. And try to put yourself in my shoes as a, let's say, relatively young, Wallace, don't laugh, progressive, forward-thinking, tech-minded librarian. What would I not like about these images that were generated by Midjourney in response to this prompt? Let's see, someone is put in the chat. Ooh, a couple people. Oh, that's old style. Thank you, Shirley. Yeah. All physical items. These are great answers. By the way, this audience has been great this morning with all of the answers. Yeah. Why are they all reading books? Old style. Yeah, they're not. Shirley, that's a great point. That's an example of bias. If you just say people, it's certainly Midjourney defaults to kind of an American centric. So they may have diversity, but it seems to be like an American based diversity. Andrew asked, who's the librarian in each picture? These are not real people. So Midjourney is pretty amazing. These are not photos or representations of real people. These are fake people that it is made up. So yeah, absolutely. That is my big problem with these images. That is, they present librarians as books. We're looking at these old reference books. Where this is a huge book here too in this one, and otherwise it's fine. It's helping students out. But for something that I would use as an instruction librarian in a class, I needed to tweak that prompt. I needed to engineer that prompt. Wing makes a good point. At least the librarians are not all old ladies, which is a stereotype. So what I found is if I adjust the prompt to, this is what I adjusted to, an information professional, not librarian, helping 3 university students with online research. And then I gave it some hints about the style too. High-tech, minimalist style. And this gave me images that I would have been, again, they're not perfect. I probably would have spent more time tweaking the prompt, but they're much better. Or they definitely convey the image that I want if I'm presenting to, year 1 students. This is the image that I want them to have in mind of the library, and not this sort of dark cave full of moldy old books, which is pretty stereotypical. Great. Oh, I did want to just show you Midjourney has finished that prompt, so it's very quick. And there, yeah, it's the Hong Kong skyline in the style of Van Gogh. And then what you could do is you can choose one and you can make it higher resolution, etc. So very, very useful tool. Back to here. Great. So we've talked about what are prompts. What is prompt engineering? And thoughtful construction of prompts to produce the highest quality responses possible. And this process is usually going to be iterative. And again, I'm really not amazed, but I'm struck by the parallels with what we've been teaching students for years and years. So for databases like OneSearch, Scopus, Web of Science, one thing we always tell new students is that, hey, you need to fine-tune your searches. You're not going to find everything you need on your first search. And same thing with generative AI tools. You need to try out your prompts, fine-tune them, and get what you want. You will never get exactly what you want on the first try. It does help to be aware of the technical aspects. And again, I don't claim expertise, but I think my level of semi-expertise is what I think most people should be aiming for, some basic understanding of how these AI models work, some baseline understanding of what tokens are, what temperature means in the context of an AI model. And I'll talk about some of these in the live demos, but also how the AI models themselves work. Like ChatGPT obviously is very different to Midjourney. And even though they both accept natural language prompts, the way they interpret them can be quite different. So in the remaining, gosh, I don't have too much time left, but in the remaining 20 minutes or so, I'll give some general advice on how I would go about thinking, how to think about prompting generative AI. But again, I do want to keep things interactive. So I have another question. I actually mentioned this during the my remarks, but what term is commonly used to describe when an AI model produces factually incorrect information? So multiple choice question. By the way, because I know there are a lot of faculty in the audience, I encourage you to use Mentimeter. And the multiple choice questions, I've used Mentimeter for a long time. And one thing that always took up a lot of time when I created multiple choice questions was thinking of options that were incorrect, right? Because I knew what the correct answer was. I always had to rack my mind, rack my brain to come up with, options for the incorrect answers. ChatGPT is really good at that. So these, obviously, well, I'll give you, let's say 30 more seconds. And by the way, if you have lost the Menti, yeah, I see Connie asking, how can I vote? It's this link here. If you lost it from earlier, the code is also out. You might need more time, Connie. So let me give you another 20 seconds there. What was I saying? Yeah, so the correct answer is the correct one. But I asked ChatGPT, I gave it the question, and I asked it, could you give me 3 incorrect answers to this question? And it came up with some very, well, I also was very specific. Could you give me 3 plausible incorrect answers for this question? And it gave me a list of 10, and I picked the 3 best ones that I thought might confuse you if you didn't know what the correct answer was. So that's a hot tip if you are in the business of creating multiple choice questions. There it is. Let's see, what did people, yeah, most people got that. And the correct answer is, of course, the hallucinations, but quite a few people were taken in by ChatGPT's alternative answers. I particularly like confabulation. It's just a fun word to say. It also rhymes with hallucination. Great. Now, why did I bring that up? Well, we obviously, in our academic work, always want to avoid the AI coming up with hallucinations, because if we put that into our work, that could be very, very bad indeed. So one thing you can easily do, and I'll show you this when I come to the live demo, you can very easily prompt ChatGPT to only use reliable sources. So you can instruct it, because if you know a little bit about how ChatGPT works, it's been trained on a massive corpus of information, but it should have some ability, hopefully, to restrict itself to more reliable zones, let's say, of its sort of training data. Now, it's not going to be perfect, though. So you still need to read, check references that it provides, et cetera, et cetera. In the same way, even Eric with consensus, he did say too, there is a chance that some of those extracts might not be completely correct. So you still need to read the original source itself. And just as a sort of an aside, it's my strong opinion that you should never be citing AI directly. Now, that's actually a very common question that we get at the library, because obviously historically we've provided a lot of help with citation. Students ask us, well, how do I cite ChatGPT? And I would say, certainly you should never be citing ChatGPT in support of facts, right? Or even opinions in your academic work. Find a reliable source and cite that. And you can ask ChatGPT to give you a reliable source, but you still need to make the effort to confirm that that source exists and read it yourself. So I think that's an important point to make. But again, you can still guide ChatGPT to try and give you or to rely on more, let's say, high quality sources. Yeah, sorry, I should have put those points up while I was speaking. That's basically what I just said. As I mentioned earlier, there is a lot of work going on in this in the library space, especially in North America. This is Leo Lowe. He's kind of a leader in this space. He's the dean of libraries at the University of New Mexico, and he proposed late last year this clear framework for thinking about, when you're writing prompts. His audience, of course, is instruction librarians, so he's giving us advice on what to do. I won't go into huge detail. I'll provide a link to the article if you're interested in, but he gives some, good advice. So first point he makes, concise. Keep your prompts as short as possible. Don't be writing huge, long essays. Convoluted language does not play well with generative AI models. Logical. So does your prompt actually make clear sense? And he says in his article, this actually is related to your language skills. So we still need to be good writers as AI users. So AI is not going to, mean that we don't need to know how to write. We still need to know how to prompt it in a logical manner. The E in clear stands for explicit. So say precisely what you want and how the AI should obtain it for you. And the final two are kind of related, adaptive and reflective. And this relates back to the point about iteration that we mentioned. You've always got to be prompting, looking at the output, thinking about how it could be improved, reflect on that, and continuously evaluate, for your future prompts. I'm trying to, let me try to give some examples, and I'm going to try a live demo as well, which is always fun when it comes to these tools. But here's an example. Prompt example 1. So let's say, as I used to be many years ago, a history student. So can you provide me with a thorough discussion of the causes of the English Civil War? What is most important? So if you analyze that with the clear framework, it's not great because it's a little bit long. The form of the language, can you provide me with a thorough discussion? It's longer than it needs to be. It could be much shorter. It's not particularly logical, like that second sentence, what is most important? It's not really clear what is it, are you talking about the causes? Are you talking about what's most important to discussion? So that's going to probably trip the AI model up a bit. And in terms of being explicit, it is kind of the opposite. It's actually quite vague. So if I just throw this into ChatGPT, which I have open here, it will give you something, but I would argue that it is not going to give you something that you necessarily can digest easily. It will take a little while to churn that out. So I want to go on to my second prompt. Don't worry, I have another ChatGPT window open if necessary. So this is a second example, same idea or same need, but with some of these principles embedded. So it technically is longer, but that's to do with the second part of the prompt, which is to make it more explicit in that it should use reliable sources and provide citations in a certain style. But the meat of it is actually shorter, and it's much more logical, and it's very much more explicit in providing, like, I want 250 words, I want the 3 most important causes, and I want you to restrict yourself to reliable sources and to provide citations to them in APA style. Now, a lot of this will probably not be rocket science to many of you in the audience, but I think it's something really important that we convey to students, that you shouldn't just be typing whatever you want into ChatGPT. You need to be thinking about it. So you can see it's still going. Gosh, like Eric said, ChatGPT is very chatty. Like, if you don't tell it exactly what you want, it's going to give you like all of this stuff, like what is royal prerogatives, religious causes, it's too much to digest, especially if you're new to the topic. So hopefully this new prompt will be a little bit more manageable. Hopefully it does do 3. Oh, there was one thing, I won't stop it, but one other thing I could have done. So temperature is one of the technical things that I mentioned earlier. So if you're not familiar with this setting, I'm oversimplifying a bit, but this essentially controls how random ChatGPT will be in its responses. So in certain situations, like you could argue for this one, if I really wanted to stick to a factual summary, I could have turned the temperature down. That will make ChatGPT a little bit more predictable. It'll be less kind of random in its responses. And if you're emphasizing reliability of sources and information, it can be a useful tool to use. Of course, if you wanted to get more creative, you can turn it all the way up to 1, etc. So here it's much shorter because it's following my directive to limit it to 250 words, and it is providing the references here. One maybe feature request I will have for ITO is whether it could do proper formatting, because it's trying to do APA style, but because it can't output italics and things like that, there's some formatting issues, but it does give you the references that it uses, and you can see there are actually references in the text, which, for academic work is what you want to see. But again, don't stop there. Find the book. Hopefully the library has these titles or can source them from other libraries, and actually check yourself to make sure that this information is kosher. How is my time? I think I have, yeah, there's the reference in case you are interested in looking in more detail about that framework. I think, like, with the emergence of so many tools, I think there are going to be other frameworks, other models for teaching prompt engineering. This is one of them, but I've certainly found it useful in organizing my thoughts around this topic. And this is my segue into the next speaker, because there are lots of library resources if you want to dive deeper into this topic, particularly in LinkedIn Learning. Prompt engineering, there's a course specifically on that, a nice short one, which you can see I completed last week. So some of items there in this presentation, only 30 minutes long. And with that, I see that I think Ivan is here. I see a new face, at least, in the window. But as Wallace said, we do have time at the end of each presentation for questions. Do you have any questions for me? Thank you for your participation. But I see no questions. So I feel a little sad. Unlike Eric, who got like 101 questions. Nothing specific for me, which is fine. I'm happy to give more time to Ivan. And you also know where to find me. If you have questions for me, feel free to email me. Oh, I have an audio question. Hello.
Hello. I'm not sure. Because our teacher said if we use ChatGPT to do assignment, then the teacher could I don't know where they could see the preparation of content. I mean, I say Cantonese, and please help me to translate.
我識聽少少。
即係咧係我哋做 assignment 嘅時候，老師話係佢哋會睇到我哋用咗幾多 percent 嘅係喺ChatGPT 度去用到嘅。咁然之後我就會擔心，咦咁即係就算係我係再去即係再去 check 翻，即係自己又再調整啊嗰樣嘢。咁但係咁樣係咪會影響我嘅分數咧？即係喺我 assignment 裏邊。
明白。I think I understood most of that, but Wallace, let me know of my response. I'll have to reply in English, but Wallace, let me know if I missed anything. So the question of AI detection in assignments. Now, to be clear, and it's a great question, because I should have been clearer maybe at the beginning. Now, of course, you should not be generating stuff in ChatGPT and submitting it as your assignment, because as you said, many professors will submit your work to an AI detector, and they will get a percentage, and depending on how high it is, they may ask you to kind of like defend your work, or it may affect your grade in some way. So what I should have been clearer about is that I'm not saying to use ChatGPT to like generate an essay and for you to hand that in. My view is that AI tools should be used to help you with your research. Both Consensus and ChatGPT fall in that bucket. So, for example, ask ChatGPT, as in my example, right, which was like, hey, what's the summary? Yeah, I should have been much clearer. I'm not going to hand this in as my assignment. Definitely not. This is as if like, okay, I need to write a 2,000 word essay and I just need to understand more about the topic. And I need some references like to get me started. Same thing with consensus. So Wallace, am I covering the heart of the question here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And it's, again, fantastic question because it's something that's still evolving. So the university does have an AI task force where which I'm a member of, but faculty are discussing this too, about what the advice should be, because currently you may have noticed there may be some variation across the university as to what is acceptable and what is not, and it will depend on the discipline, right? It will depend on the assignment. Like obviously for the language center, if literally the learning outcome is for you to be able to write good English, it's not acceptable to use ChatGPT at all because they need to be testing your ability to write in English. But in other disciplines, it might be okay to kind of more directly use ChatGPT. Now, this is it's not a straightforward answer to your question because unfortunately there is not. But that's our role too, to think about how we can advise students on the ethical use of it. I think that's the key word. So consult with us. If obviously ask your professors in the first instance, but ask at the library too. I'm thinking of using ChatGPT in this way. Is that a good idea? Or would this be an ethical way to use ChatGPT? And I know there are many faculty in the audience. They may have other things to contribute and share here. And I see someone raising their hand.
Yes.
Doris.
Yes. Hi. Yeah, thank you so much. So informative. So my question is a little bit related to what I think the student was saying. So I'm an instructor, and I had no guideline like 2 terms ago for AI and ChatGPT, but then I encountered huge problems with assessment, and then so I progressively added a little. And my principle has been to, I think it's healthy, first of all, to make the students declare.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I have used it or have not used it, so that when I'm assessing the work, I can take into consideration, yeah, I can take it into consideration. Yeah. So my question is, my question is about the standard in the academic profession for also declaring. Let's say me, I have let's say I'm not a native English speaker, and so either for reason of English or research, I've written a paper. Is there any standard like to declare this paper was written with, or the English was polished using DeepL?
Yeah.
I have seen it once or twice, but not widely. Yeah. Do you know?
I personally have no deep knowledge of that, but I have seen it as well. Yeah. And I think that may be a trend in future. As far as I can tell, individual publishers, individual journals may, again, kind of coming up with this, as these situations emerge. But the principle, I think, of asking for declarations, I think it's sound. And where necessary, asking whether it's students or academics, if they declare the use of AI, to show the prompts, and to show the output, and just be transparent, in the use of AI. Because when we connect this to academic honesty, I mean, the principle of academic honesty has not changed, and that principle is we do not present work as our own when it's not actually written by us, whether that's AI or the work of others.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's a great question. Time is running out, but one more question. He put his hand down. Dr. Swinski had his hand up. Dr. Swinski, do you still want to ask that question? He's gone.
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, here.
Right. Hello, everyone. No, but you know, I just wanted to chip in, and you just said what I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
Which is basically, you know, about academic honesty and integrity, and I think what I'd like to offer here is based on my experience, also with PhD students, because I've been offering this course under the whole faculty, which is advanced qualitative methods, and I do talk about this to our students, and you know, it's a great concern for them, and basically that's exactly what I said. What Chris just said. I mean, that, you know, ultimately it's about academic honesty, integrity, and we do not claim ownership of the words that we do not produce ourselves. As simple as that.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, that's it.
No, I think that's brilliant. Thank you for re-emphasizing that. I think you worded it better than I did.
No.
So, yeah, like we don't present the work of others as our own, whether it's AI generated or we have to be honest in what we present. Thank you so much for that. And I better hand it back to you, Wallace, to get us back on time for the last very exciting session.
Yeah, thank you, Chris, and everyone.
Hello, can I ask a question?
In 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, quick.
Very quick.
No problem.
Oh,
hello.
Are you going to or not?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please do. We do
Yeah.
encourage interaction, so I better stick to that. Go ahead.
Sorry, how can we use ChatGPT effectively when we doing the marketing or the business related work?
Okay, that's interesting. It's one that I'm not well played. And again, you know, if you have these like discipline specific ones, I encourage you to seek out your liaison librarian who might be able to, you know, work with you on that. There could be interesting things your librarian could do. And maybe our next speaker, Ivan, could introduce some resources. Maybe LinkedIn Learning has something that could answer that question directly.
Okay.
Hopefully that's a good segue. I'll pass it back to Wallace.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Lastly, but certainly not least, we are excited to have Ivan Wong, but his name is got some technical issue displayed as Gordon Zhang, but actually he's Ivan Wong. He's our head of government and academics and linked at linkedin.com. So here are going to demonstrate how AI assistant curated by LinkedIn. So please join me in welcome Ivan. Ivan, please.
Thank you very much, Wallace, for having me. So I just want to again deliver my gratitude for having the opportunities to be doing a quick sharing here. So thank you to the library for the partnership with LinkedIn. Thank you to Chris, you know, for the invitation as well as introducing LinkedIn Learning courses towards the end of your sharing just now. So my name is Ivan. I'm currently looking after the government and academic sector at LinkedIn. But before this role, I was actually the education sector owner at Microsoft Hong Kong. So I might also be able to answer some of your ChatGPT questions later as well, if you have any. So I'm sure that, you know, I know that the participant today is a mix of faculties and students. I'm sure that you will be wondering about the role that LinkedIn would like to play in, you know, AI chatbot or ChatGPT era, especially the platform has always been seen as a, you know, job-seeking platform, as a social media. So what are sort of the role that we want to play, particularly partnering with universities and schools to actually support students in better leveraging these chat functions to uplift or upskill themselves. So if you might allow me to share my screen very quickly, Wallace, I might need your help to enable the screen sharing functions. Yes, I can do it now. Thank you very much for that. Great. I hope you're seeing my full PowerPoint screen presentation with the title of Advanced Search.
It looks like we can see the presenter view.
The presenter view,
flip
okay,
it
no
around,
worries.
yeah.
Let me just flip that around. Is this still with the presenter view now, or is it with the full presentation?
I'm afraid it's still the presenter view.
No, just hold on a second. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'll give you a quick sharing, using the next 20 minutes to share more about what we have developed and our intention of developing, an AI assistant to support you and the reason and rationale behind, right? So before I go into a demo of what tool that we have developed, I want to give some rationale about the reason that LinkedIn is doing this. And I hope you will be convinced about, the reason that we are doing this and how that could support you. So I'm sure that a lot of you would have your own profile or would be a user of LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has been a social media for professionals networking for over 20 years of time. And by date, the platform has successfully gathered over 1 billion of users all across the world. And on a daily basis, the platform is also supporting many, many organizations. If you look into the list, right, over 67 millions of companies in leveraging their platforms to inform the community about their talent demand, their manpower needs. So, in aggregation, right, the platform is circulating over 23 millions of job opportunities every single minute, right? So I'm sure that a lot of you, especially those who come from a data background, you will understand we're way more than just a social media trying to circulate information. At the back of it, LinkedIn is trying to create something called a digital representation of the global workforce. So we put these data together and extract insights out of it. And we want to see how these insights can actually help the community, especially university students, in learning, the future of work and what's required in the workplace. Our data is often quoted as the crystal ball into the future of work. And the reason I quote this in particular, because I'm sure that you would have a bit of understanding that every single chatbot or ChatGPT or any kind of AI assistant would only be successful and useful if they have enough volume of data, big data, to back themselves up. So data is the fundamental thing that changes how AI assistants or chatbot functions in today's world. And what I want to emphasize is that when we understand the volume of data that we process behind the scene, we knew that we could actually use these data and use these big data to actually develop our own kind of assistance. And we have done that. And we are glad to be partnering with the BU library, like what I was mentioning, to actually roll this out to every single student and staff to support you on your learning need. So just to give you some more sense and idea about when I say we have a lot of data to feed our AI assistants and chatbot, what are some of the data that I'm referring to, or what are those data, what do those data actually look like? So these are some of the examples, right? Say we're trying to process and understanding what are some of the fastest growing skills across different industries, and we manage to find it and we manage to update it on a very frequent basis. And these are what our AI chatbot actually learn from us, learn from our data pool. Specific zooming into Hong Kong, we can also look into, in the employment market, when we are having so much data around, manpower supply and manpower demand, what are some of the skills gaps? What are some of the skills gaps from the perspective of competencies? So what people actually need to learn based on our understanding. And we put these data and informations, feed them into our AI chatbot as well. What we are trying to develop and create here through this AI chatbot that we have developed, right, is to create something we call as the skills first future. So in today's world, from an employment perspective or job seeking perspective, right? Oftentimes, people are being evaluated by their educational background, their years of experience, where they graduate, what program that they did at schools. What we want to change with our, observations and our penetration in the employment market is that we want to create something called skills first. We want people to be evaluated, to be seen based on what skills that they possess. And we believe this will solve a lot of issues in the employment market where mismatching is still, up and rising, right? So we want to help you to acquire the skills that is demanded by the jobs, so that you can be seen, you can be reflected, your profile yourself can be reflected by the skills that you possess, right? So this is the background and the reason that why LinkedIn is trying to develop something using the AI fashions, developing a chatbot that can support you in picking up these knowledges to equip yourself. And that's why we step into something, that we try to personalize your learning experience, partnering with the universities to support you in having a more personalized self and digital learning experience. And my last slide before I jump on to the demo sessions, we believe that we are heading towards the direction, right? Because, in this AI environment that we have developed, right, we managed to put together 3 key components to make sure that it will be something helpful for you. And among these components, right, I have explained about the skills insights one, right? We process so much data, we feed those data into the system so that they will be able to advise based on, factual insights that we digest from our platform. The second that we are proud of, it's about the engaging user experience. We start as a social media, so we know well about user behavior and how to customize views, customize contents for different users based on their background, based on their past view histories, etc. Just like every single one of you, when you're on Netflix or YouTube, you see different recommendations, right? And LinkedIn are also able to do that because of our social media background. And the third pillar to this important foundation is, of course, as a social media that is built for professionals. Most of the world-class industry experts would have already been a user on our platform, and we lean on their support to actually support us in training and cultivating the next generations. So with their mind, with their knowledge, with their experience, we bring together them into the network of learning as well. So that's the fundamental reason that we have developed something like this to support you in your learning journey. And I'll just jump on a quick screen sharing so that you can see more firsthand if you haven't had a chance to actually look into those. So I'm now on the screen of my Bing browser. As a Microsoft subsidiary, right? Bing is always our go-to. So this is a view where you will see when you get access to LinkedIn Learning. And in terms of the procedure of getting a LinkedIn Learning access, right? I'm sure that Wallace and Chris would have clear instructions about how you can activate that with your university email and university ID, right? So when you sign up or logged into this LinkedIn Learning platform, you will be asked to connect your LinkedIn Learning with your LinkedIn profile, because this is the very first step where we can start customizing and personalizing the experience for you. Given your LinkedIn profile, we know a bit about your background. You could be, teaching at a school, studying at a school across different disciplines. Regardless of their background, we have something for you because we have a bit of understanding of how others with a background that is similar to yours, how are they upskilling themselves, preparing themselves for the future of work. And with those informations, right, we're able to customize the view for you. So these are sort of the AI algorithm that we have put into the system that you might not be proactively using, but will be reactively being recommended through those AI empowers, right? So if I might start with the AI coach first, which is something that you can proactively use to actually ask questions about every single kind of data that LinkedIn process when it comes to the employment market, right? And you will be able to get information out of this LinkedIn developed AI chatbot and coach to find out more about the future of work, to support yourself in upskilling yourself, right? So this is a chatbot which is available and insert into the LinkedIn Learning platform. And starting with the AI coaching, right? You can ask questions, right? I'm graduating next year with a accounting major. Any suggestions? Very generic questions, because what's different from the ChatGPT and the prompt engineering that Chris was introducing? We try to make this even more user-friendly. We try to make this in a conversational way where you can really chat with them like you're chatting with people around you, right? So we suggest and we hope that you can nail the skill of prompt engineering, but those skills might not be the most important when it comes to interacting with the LinkedIn in-house developed AI coach, right? This is more like a tutor where we try to bring in the knowledge of LinkedIn through this tutor, and we're not testing about how good that you are when it comes to asking questions, right? The tutor is more than happy to interact with you in your own language and format, right? So there will probably be follow-up questions. What specific area of accounting are you interested in pursuing after graduation, right? It takes a bit of interactions. Maybe I'll just randomly make it up. Auditing, right? So it takes a few seconds for the coach to actually get back with some suggestions on if auditing is of interest, right? Well, you might try to take these ones, right? These courses are trying to help you to understand, formal data. So, and it will also explain and illustrate about, what are the contents that you can expect or take away or learning outcome that you can expect out of this specific class or course, right? But of course, if this is not of your interest and not aligned with what you want to learn, you can even specify what are the companies or what are the industries that will interest you, and the suggestions can be further customized based on that. So this is an AI chatbot that we have developed by feeding it with the 1 billion of user data that we process on LinkedIn, as well as all the job information, JD information that we have processed, leveraging and leaning on this AI coach to provide you the intelligence and information that LinkedIn holds. But if you may allow me to actually go back to the entire platform, zooming out from the AI coach in specific, a lot of AI components and algorithms have already been integrated into the design of the platform. So everything that you see out of this, learning instance wouldn't come randomly. It comes because of your instructions, because of your view histories, because of your connections, because of our understanding on what your peers are learning, what are the learning behavior of people who share a similar background with you, right? So these are all the AI component that has been inserted, right? In case if you were a student or faculty with very clear learning goal that what you want to learn, honestly, for those people, you don't need to lean on an AI coach because you have very clear ideas, right? But for general learners, there could be two kinds, right? One of them would be proactive learner. They know the directions of it, right? They know what would interest them. And in those cases, right, you can check with the AI coach to validate about, whether those directions of learning are clear for you. And for the second kind of individual or learners, right, they might want to invest time in learning, but they are unclear with where to head for, right? So for those, of course, you can still talk with the AI coach to ask for suggestions. But another way that you can navigate the platform is, if you have your LinkedIn profile connected, and if you are able to also indicate to the platform about your learning goal or the area of interest that you have, right? Say under the home, after the home sessions, there will be a session called My Career Journey, where you can indicate about your career interests, what skills that might interest you. If you have those indicated, or even without, right? It will be way better if you have those information indicated, of course. But even without, just based on your LinkedIn profile where you have basic information input, right? We will be able to recommend and personalize the experience for you given the AI that we have integrated and incorporated into the system and into the platform, right? Say for me, I have a title of academic, government and academics, right? So they will be recommending me courses and contents based on my current title. They will also be, sharing with me and letting me know what are some of my connections in my community that have also spend time and invest time with these specific learning courses. And so happens that a lot of my content recommendation to me, it's actually related to generative AI, because this is an up and rising skills across career, across discipline, right? So there would also be a lot of personalization because of my unique identity and my unique career path. These are picked for me, right? But if I don't want to just restrict myself to things that are related to my background, right? These are some of the week's top courses, some of the newly released, some of the things that is, I have recently researched generative AI and Python because I want to pick those skills up, right? And they will also check me and follow me through and let me know what are some of the newly released content that is related to my latest search, right? Well, this is what Chris actually mentioned and introduced just now, the generative AI for business leaders. Right, so a lot of different recommendations that we have put together so that you can, enjoy what AI has customized for you, even though if you don't want to interact with the AI coach that we have developed based on our understanding of the, workforce and the employment market. And I have another 5 minutes to go. If I might just also show you around, this is not a comprehensive library, but in some ways it can also be seen as a mini digital library where we try to, categorize things based on their relevancy. And like what I was mentioning, right? We are trying to develop a future world where we wish it could be skills first. People can talk to each other from a professional context, based on what skills that they possess, right? So we are categorizing contents based on, what skills that specific learning content or learning path could actually bring you, right? So if you zoom into the content section and then play around, we have 3 main libraries called business, technology, and creative. Before we have this skills narrative, we categorize our content based on the specific roles. If you want to be an HR manager, you might want to learn these. But like what I was mentioning, right? Titling, it's going to be outdated because a title could refer to many different kind of professionals. So that we're developing and evolving into more skills driven, right? So when you scroll down, you'll be able to see how we categorize content based on the skills that the specific learning content can actually bring you, right? So these are some of the examples under the business category, and technology category. There would also be a long list of them. So as the creative category, right? So we hope that your learning can be very skills focused, that you're picking up something specific from a skills perspective. And we also understand that when we're trying to help you develop your skills, we can't do it on your own. So like what I was mentioning in my PowerPoint presentation, right? We have engaged a lot of world-class, industry leaders to actually support us in creating and building those contents to equip you with the right skills. But more to that, we are actively seeking and initiating and developing a lot of partnership with different certifications providers as well. I'm sure that you would have had the opportunities to, look into or review many different certifications providers to understand whether their micro-credential would be helpful for you. Say Microsoft, GitHub, ServiceNow, Google, Adobe, Azure, or even to very specific, Project Management Institute, PMP, and many others, right? So we know that micro-credential is something that, people in our community actually care about. And we want to make sure that when people invest their time learning on LinkedIn Learning, it could serve as a, synergy of, one stone kills 3 birds. You can pick up the skills that you need based on our recommendations. You can also acquire the right informations to improve your LinkedIn profile to be seen by the employers, right? But thirdly, we hope and we wish you can also take away meaningful credentials, micro credentials that can be used in your, self presentations, right? When you talk to the employers about what you know, backed up by these credentials, right? So just a quick example, if I might use, right, Microsoft, when you click into these professional certifications, you still get to see a list of LinkedIn Learning content, but you get to see the list of LinkedIn Learning content when they are certification eligible. So these are the content that will be eligible for Microsoft, learning hours and credentials. Let's say I just use this as an example about the career essential in sustainable tech by Microsoft and LinkedIn, which was updated 3 months ago, right? When you click into that, it will clearly indicate to you this learning path is eligible for professional certificate from Microsoft as well. How it works, so complete all the courses, take and pass the final exam. Once you pass, you will have immediate access to your certificate so that you can add it to your LinkedIn profile and share it with others. So once you complete this learning path, you get a LinkedIn Learning certificate, but you'll also get a Microsoft certificate to back yourself up. If you want to showcase yourself when it comes to looking for jobs in the sustainable tech area, I'm sure that it will help. So some of you might come from relatively technical background where you need a lot of practice. Of course, you can practice with ChatGPT. They know coding quite well in today's world as well. But to cater to that learning need, we have also developed a lot of coding practice where you can do some hands-on practice with code challenges, as well as GitHub code space just within LinkedIn Learning as well, so that you can master that specific technical skills if you wish. Yes, so we're constantly improving based on your feedbacks and our partnership with the schools and the feedback from the students and faculties about how they find our platform. But this is the latest version of the platform where you get to enjoy a lot of AI recommendations. You get to talk to our AI coach as a personal tutor to help you to look into the future of work and support you in equipping the right skills. And we hope these innovations could actually help you with your procedure and your experience of researching the right content to learn on our platform. And I guess that's 12. Thank you very much for the time in an interest in this sharing session. I'm happy to stay beyond if you got any questions and I can address to. Thank you very much.
Any questions?
I see a nice comment there from Fion saying she got a Photoshop certificate from LinkedIn Learning. So happy customer there.
Great to hear. Thank you very much.
Okay, if no, then thank you, Ivan, for your great demonstration today. As our event concludes, I want to express our collective appreciation to our speakers for their groundbreaking presentations and to all of you for your participation.
Hi, I'm Victoria, and I have a question.
Okay.
What do you think is the difference between the AI power tools like ChatGPT in the LinkedIn Learning and HKBU Library Learning? I think this is an interesting question.
Hi, Victoria. Thank you very much for the questions. Right. I'm happy to start, but I think Chris can add on because I don't have feasibility into all AI related, research tool available at the HKBU library. But in terms of the partnership between HKBU and LinkedIn, right? What we want to do is, we both understand the world is changing really quickly, right? Our academics are working really hard to provide you with the knowledge that could help you in developing your career, developing your knowledge. But having said that, an additional pair of hand of help from an external organization like LinkedIn, which has a direct observation or into the employment market, would be valuable, which is what we believe. But in the past, we had difficulties bringing these knowledges and informations into the schools because without AI, we didn't know where to begin with. But with AI, we developed a tool using all the information that we process. And now every single one of you can actually lean on such a tool to ask the questions, right? Because I can't be there answering and helping you to research and looking into your questions 24/7, right? Because I only have one pair of hands. But now with AI, with ChatGPT ready, these information are available at all time at your convenience, in your own hands of controls. So I think that's what ChatGPT or AI brings a huge difference to the partnership between us and HKBU Library, right? But I mean, I'm not sure whether Chris has anything to add on this comment.
Thanks, Ivan. I mean, thank you, Victoria, for the question. It's really interesting on it. I wouldn't say there's a difference between AI and HKBU Library's resources. I think I come back to this, what Eric was saying, that it's just a tool, it's a search tool, to help us discover what is in our collections.
I mean,
go ahead.
There are some differences between the AI-powered tools in the career learning and academic learning. In the career learning, we maybe use ChatGPT just like the tools, but in I think ChatGPT, the AI-powered tools are all, we can use them as the tools, just as the tools.
Well, different tools, right? So different tools for different jobs, like for many things. So so I think, that's clear. Like if you're looking for career advancement, you're looking to upskill with micro credentials, then you look for LinkedIn Learning's AI assistant. Whereas if you're doing academic research, something like Consensus, which focuses much more on making sure it's reliable information, making sure that it has those guardrails. I really like that word that Eric used several times, just guardrails, to try and make sure the AI is not making stuff up. So that's part of your AI literacy too, is knowing which tool to use for specific scenarios. So I think you're right, Victoria, to highlight the difference. Depending on what you're doing, you'll need to use different tools.
And I also have a question. When we do in the academic writing, we will find some journals by using ChatGPT for searching. Like you just said in today's workshop, we can ask ChatGPT to let it say some reasons about the phenomenon, and we can use its answers to find some related articles. But sometimes the answers is not very related. Maybe.
Yeah.
Then we will not find the related journals in the website. So how can we solve this problem?
Well, I think it's an extension of your earlier question. You have to think about what it is you're trying to do. And if your goal is to locate peer-reviewed journal articles on a topic, maybe you don't need to use AI in many cases. So this is actually an excellent point. AI is not going to replace everything. In some cases, our traditional search tools, I can't believe I'm calling OneSearch a traditional tool. It's only 5 or 6 years old. But,
Maybe
discovery tools, Scopus, those databases, those might actually be better. So you're not necessarily going to be using AI tools for everything, because as you rightly identified, it might not be the best tool for the job, for particular tasks.
So maybe sometimes the Google research is more, the Google search is, search engine is more effective than AI
Although
tools.
if you are using Google, remember to install libkey nomad so you can get access to all the library subscriptions.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the questions. Very interesting discussion.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone for your participation. If no more question, we hope you leave here today feeling informed and inspired. Thank you for attending, and we look forward to seeing you at other library events. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you. Bye-bye.